coastline. Not only was it going to be dark, but the cloud base on D-Day was 10,000 feet. Broken cloud as low as 3,000 feet. These are high-level strategic bombers dropping their bombs from a minimum height of 17,500 feet. They were warned, if you drop your bombs early, we are going to court-martial your ass. Why?
You hit the landing craft.
You're going to blow up your own invasion fleet. Therefore, when you get to the coast of France, in order to avoid your short bombings and blowing up your own invasion fleet, you are under strict orders, depending on where you are in the bomber stream, to wait between 5 and 25 seconds after you cross the coastline before you drop your bombs. Brilliant plan. Not a single bomb fell on the American invasion fleet. Trouble is, when you're flying at 300 miles an hour or 1 mile every 12 seconds, the 25-second wait meant that they released their bombs 2 miles inland. Most of the bombs fell between 2 and 3 miles behind the German frontline positions. Did a brilliant job of blowing up the inland minefields, but did nothing to help the troops landing on the beach. Navy will do better. No, they won't. The Navy had surrounded islands in the Pacific like Tarawa. They'd cut off the Japanese garrisons from all forms of resupply or reinforcement. They had then spent, in some instances, up to 6 weeks bombarding these islands with aircraft and naval artillery shell fire. They had had virtually no effect on the Japanese defences whatsoever. If a 6-week bombardment didn't work in the Pacific, quite why they thought of naval bombardment of the beaches lasting less than an hour would do anything here on Omaha Beach, I don't know, but you got to give the Navy credit for trying. Suffice it to say, the naval bombardment was just as ineffective as the aerial bombardment. 0630 came along, the duplex drive tanks were meant to hit the beach. The 743rd Tank Battalion, 741st Tank Battalion launched 32 of these amphibious duplex drive tanks offshore. The trouble is, the flotation screens surrounding the tank only had a freeboard of 18 inches. They were designed to be used in water of no greater wave height than 12 inches, absolute maximum. Offshore sea swell on D-Day, 6 to 8 feet. Inshore sea swell, 3 to 5 feet. Of the 32 duplex drive tanks launched, 28 of them sank before they got anywhere near the coastline. Of the remaining 4 which hit the beach, not one of them lasted longer than 10 minutes before it had been knocked out by the German anti-tank gunners up here on the beach. A company came in to land on the beach. They were being led by Captain Fellers. He was a National Guard captain, no rocket scientist, but even he could see that the plan was absolutely for the birds. He said to his commanding officer, "You are dropping us off right in front of the most strongly defended sector of Omaha Beach, which was exit Dog 1. We're going to get creamed. We want you to drop us off about halfway between the beach exits. At least then the nearest German defensive complexes will be 500 or 600 yards away on one side or the other." And he was told, "You're only a captain, you know what the hell you're talking about. You shut up and get on with the job you've been given." Within the narrow confines of his orders, which was simply to assault and open up exit Dog 1, Captain Fellers decided to split his group into 2 units. He asked for 3 landing craft to come in here directly in front of him, another 3 landing craft to come in down about 200 yards to your left-hand side. These 6 landing craft would each be carrying 31 men, 186 assault troopers, making up A company. As they came into the beach, the veterans of the 29th Division that I've spoken to have said that they reckoned the pre-invasion bombardment must have worked. They received no German return fire at all on the way into the beach, apart from 1 German mortar firing from behind the cliffs, a few very sporadic and rather inaccurate shots. They reckoned the Germans must all be dead. Landing craft came in, hit the sand, the ramps went down. Soldiers came out into water, generally speaking between about waist and chest deep. Still no German return fire. These guys were generally dropped off between about 80 and 100 meters from where the water met the sand. They walked through, coming out onto the sand, being led by Captain Fellers, good officer, out in front. Called over his radio man as he emerged onto the sand, sent the only radio message he sent from Omaha Beach on D-Day. A company landed, on time, on target, resistance light. It was only then that they finally realized why the Germans had not opened up. And this was simply because German machine gunners were under strict orders not to start shooting until Allied soldiers invading the coastline were walking through water no deeper than knee deep. This meant that the landing craft were raising their ramps and pulling off to get the next assault wave before the Germans opened up. As they were coming into the beach though, one of these 6 landing craft swamped in the heavy seas about 1,000 yards offshore. It sank. 30 of the 31 guys in it were rescued, but these guys played no part in the initial assault wave on the beach. Remaining 155 guys hit the beach, started moving inland. Once the German machine gunners opened up, between 25 to 7 and 7 o'clock in the morning, of these remaining 155 guys in A Company, over 140 of them ended up becoming casualties. Of these 140 casualties, over 100 of these guys ended up dying on the beach here in front here. Now, an awful lot of these guys have been shot very superficially, wounded in the arms or the legs, wounds you'd normally survive even with no treatment. These guys quite simply drowned because they were unable to crawl faster than the tide was rising. And just in case you're not too sure just exactly how fast the tide comes in, it comes in just as fast as it goes out. It was at the last pillar of the jetty when we arrived. You can see it has already gone out in the last 15 minutes alone, over 80 meters. Unfortunately, when the 149th Engineers came in and they were supposed to be assaulting A Company, they got blown down to their left-hand side. They ended up landing about half a mile down here to your left, on the spot on the beach where Captain Fellers had been asked to be dropped off, where he'd been told you couldn't be dropped off, but Captain Fellers was right. These guys suffered less than 5% casualties coming ashore, and they thought, okay, we're not in the right place, but it's as good a place as any other for us to blow up obstacles, and they got busy down the beach here. 7 o'clock in the morning came along and the landings restarted again. B Company came in. They'd launched from offshore like A Company, but they had their transport ships 10 miles offshore. It took 3 hours for the landing craft to come into the beach. If you were landing here at 7 a.m, you had to leave the ships at 4 a.m. in the dark. These ships, like the aircraft, no lights on them. As they came in, B Company got very split up. One of the landing craft coming in as far as 1,000 yards down here to your left-hand side. 2 more of the landing craft landing as far as 2.5 miles down to your right-hand side, below where the American cemetery is today. Depending on whether they landed in front of an exit or in the gaps between, depended on whether they suffered either very high or very low casualties. 121st Engineers came in as a single unit, but they also got blown over 800 yards down the beach and ended up landing almost right on top of the 149th Engineers. Unlike the 149th, the 121st was supposed to blow the hole in the anti-tank wall. They had to be in a very specific place to do it, and they took the decision almost immediately on landing on the beach to move laterally along the beach to get back to this spot here to try and get it done. But we're going to get back to the 121st Engineers later on.